Angie. I was going to the mosque, the masjid, which is like the holy temple for Muslims, some years back in DC. And I was going through some things. And the imam told me, the imam who's like the leader of the mosque, told me that Allah would never give me a burden that I couldn't bear, but I could actually give myself one. And that was something that stuck with me for some time. This idea of giving yourself a burden that you can't bear. And of course, I had to do an even deeper analysis of that comment to say, okay, well, in this life, what percentage of what you experience is self-generated and what percentage is preordained? I guess you could say this kind of philosophical conversation. Because some believe that there's nothing that's predestined. Some believe that everything that you get in this life is self-generated. There's many different belief systems and philosophies on this conversation. You have some who believe in multiple incarnations, and they believe that everything that you experience in this life is the result of karma, either this life's karma or former lives' karma. Those who believe that there's only one life may believe in predestination and heaven and hell, and that even before you get here on this earth, that your fate is sealed. You know, all the decisions that you make are sealed. And so it was interesting for an imam coming from a faith of monotheism that believes in, predestination, that everything is within Allah's will, to say something like that. It threw me for a loop. That Allah will never give you a burden that you can't bear, but you can give yourself one. Because it was something I never heard an imam say, in the sense of, like, a lot of times in monotheistic religion, people externalize their power. Everything is the Most High. Everything is Allah's will. Everything is God's will. Everything is... Before a religious leader, for an imam to say that you can actually give yourself a burden that you can't bear, it really did throw me for a loop. And I really did have to begin to do some analysis and introspection about how much of our life's outcome is our own doing. And I heard another saying that certain things you will not necessarily self-inflict. Situations where, especially as a child, where you were abused, perhaps molested or sexually assaulted, or somebody violated your trust in a certain way when you were very vulnerable. And I've heard certain spiritualists say that these children actually attracted those experiences. And I said, wow, that's a very harsh stance to take. They believe that in their past life, this was an experience that they attracted. They believe that prior to getting here on this earth, prior to their incarnation, they signed up to have these experiences occur in their lives. So, wow, that's deep. That's taking personal responsibility to the next level. And I don't have all the answers. I am a student of life. But I do believe that a lot of our outcome does have to deal with personal responsibility and discussing soulmates and discussing soul ties. I think that it's important to take personal responsibility. I've been praying, as I usually do. And this is personal, but I'll share it with you guys. The prayers that I'm saying right now, one of the main prayers is I'm asking God to eliminate my soul ties, to destroy, to cord cut, to get the petroleum, like the fuel that you get to fill up your car, and like pour it all over those cords. Like gouge it in gas. Like soak it in gasoline. And take like a divine match, not even a match, a torch, like a blowtorch. And burn that shit up. Like when I tell you I am so far removed from every single ex-boyfriend, every single ex-relationship of mine. When I tell you every cell in my body, every fiber, every vibration in my soul, every nuance and inkling in my mind is so far removed, so far removed from the men of my past. I just want them erased from my soul. I would like a rebirth. Like I'm literally begging God, like please, let me wake up new. Whatever I have to do, I need to fast. I will pray 20 times a day. I will not eat. I will be a breatharian. I'll only drink liquid. What do you need me to do? What do you need me to do? Erase every single inkling of remnants of these men from my energy, from like, please God, please. Why? Because in my current state, I'm so much better. Last time I had a glass of wine was February 2020. Like, and this is not, like, I don't really preach singleness like that, or solitude is wonderful, but what I'm saying is, like, the type of man that is selfless to some degree, like the type of man that is not gonna only look at you as what you can do for him and his needs, right? Because there's men that like literally will hold you in captivity emotionally and like in every way, hold you in bondage because they're so fucking selfish. They're so fucking selfish. Like all they care about is what you can do for them. It has nothing to do with your emotional well-being, how you thrive, your success, your work that God has you here to do, your assignment and your purpose from your divine creator.
Hey guys, this is Wax Taylor. Check out my new album, The Shadow of
Your emotional state.
Version, now on Pandora. Thank you.
If you feel nurtured, protected, and provided for. If you feel good, if your self-esteem is high. If you feel empowered, if you feel... And like, I watch ladies and I'm like, why are you sipping so much? You know, not coming from a judgmental standpoint, because I used to have my wine too. I don't drink, but I used to sip. And I'm watching, like, why are you sipping so much? Why you smoke so much weed? Why you gotta pop a pill? Why are you eating that? Why are you putting that food in your body? Why? Women be eating their feelings a lot of times. Women like drink their feelings, smoke their feelings because they feel empty. Nas has a line that's like, there's nothing worse than, something to the effect of like, there's nothing worse than being with somebody but wishing you were alone. And so we could dissect this from a couple different, points of view. We could say, do you put too much on your mate? Are you having expectations from your mate that you should only put on God? Are you letting your own self down? Or is your mate just a piece of shit? And selfish as fuck. It only cares about their well-being, and you're literally just an accessory to that. Thing about it is, like, you hear like a lot of these people who have reached certain points in their success say, people want my success, but are they willing to do what I've done to obtain it? And that's where personal responsibility comes in. You want love, you want high self-esteem, you want to feel good about yourself. You don't want to wake up having to smoke a blunt because your peace is not inside of you, but your peace is within that blunt. Or else you're bothered, you're disturbed. Your peace has now become external. You've externalized your peace. If you don't have weed, you don't have peace. If you can't have a sip, if you can't sip, if you can't zone out, you're disturbed, you're bothered. If you can't pop a pill, you're incapable of dealing with yourself emotionally. If you can't cut that man off who happens to hit the right spot, ladies, I know, some of them can hit the right spot. But if you don't have the discipline, the willpower to cut that man off because he doesn't do anything for you but hit the right spot, and bottom line is, he's the reason why you're sipping, he's the reason why you're smoking, you're trying to fulfill voids that aren't getting fulfilled in your day-to-day. If you really want to keep it real with yourself. So you know that if you could have the discipline, the courage, the strength within to endure solitude, to build up emotional fortitude, to build up strength, to be able to love yourself properly, to take good care of yourself, to put yourself first. But you don't want to do that. You're too afraid to be alone. And so you will be in a perpetual cycle of attracting the wrong things and the wrong people. But I'm just saying, when you see me and I'm very peaceful, please don't try to disturb my peace, because I had to endure certain things that you were not willing to go through in order to obtain that peace, and go through certain things that you were not willing to go through in order to maintain that peace. So when we get back to that conversation of personal responsibility, some may say, why is the world full of F-boys? Why are there so many? Why are we at an influx of F-boys? Our society is not really healthy, guys. We have to fully comprehend that we're not living in the most healthy society. So what is an unhealthy society composed of? Unhealthy people. So chances are, when you go out into the world, you're going to be confronted by a cesspool of unwellness. So understand that finding somebody who is healthy for you is the exception, not necessarily the norm. And on one end, it's like, well, how could he do this to me? How could he do this to me? But on another end, you got to ask the question, how could I allow him to do this to me? What was going on in my mind, in my psyche, in my emotions, in my everything that made me a vibrational match to this experience? I'll use myself as an example. You know, I am currently going through a situation where people feel like they could literally control me and tell me what to do and try to disturb my peace and all these things. And on one end, I want to lash out and say, how dare you? But on the other end, I have to be very, analytical about this whole matter and say, well, what frequency was I resonating on for people to feel like I would be their soup pot? For people to feel like they could spew their issues on me? For people to even feel like they could control me? For people to even feel like they could try to coerce me, or, what was I resonating on? And then the side of me that I'm like trying to slay, right? That's still there. Traces of me that's still there. The victim. It's like, whoa, it's me. My dad just died, and I just got out of like a horrible relationship, and my father was my confidant. My father was my everything. He was the guy that I talked to. I just needed my daddy. Like, there's like a little girl that's like, I just want my daddy. I just want my daddy. And there's like a part of me that's like, how dare they? When I was in such a vulnerable situation, just lost my father, just got out of a relationship, got all these harsh things, harsh experiences. How dare they try to creep in and take advantage of my weakness during this harsh time for me, a time of mourning, a time of grief. This is when they crept in to try to do these things to me. How dare they? But then another side of me says, why not? Why are you expecting for people to abide by your moral compass? Is that naive of you? To think that everybody adheres to the same sense and level of morality? Grow up. They don't care. People don't care about what you're going through. You look like dinner. If they got a need and you can fulfill that need, that's all they care about. Grow up. Nobody gives a fuck about what you're going through. No one cares if you just lost your dad. They don't care. People don't care. Grow up. I have, my template. I got my website for Say Grace, and I remember having a conversation with a man who I describe as a predator, a perpetrator, somebody who takes advantage of women, like a pimp. And I remember telling him, like, you know how many, like, of the women that you are exploiting have been, like, molested by, like, family members and have been raped, like, brutally, like, raped, and had, like, the most horrible things, like, things of exploitation happen to them? Do you know how traumatized these women are? Do you know, like, how, like, much healing these women need? And you're exploiting them? And he basically said, well, had they not experienced that, they wouldn't be, like, able for me to exploit. He's like, that's pretty much all of their narratives. He's like, I have to shut down that side of me. That side of me doesn't even exist. I don't think along those lines. I don't think that way. I think about how much money I can make off of them. it's important for you to be able to think both ways. You have to think as the healer, and you have to think as the predator, if for self-preservation purposes. And so there's a saying that says, you may not have caused your dysfunction. You may have been violated. Somebody may have abused you, exploited you, done something to take advantage of you in a really horrible way. And frankly, they may not feel any kind of way about it to this day. You have sociopaths who don't feel guilt. They may not even feel any kind of way about what they did to you to traumatize you, and you're carrying this with you, and you're carrying these experiences with you, and you can't forgive these people, you can't forgive yourself, you're hurt, you're traumatized, all these things. And unfortunately, these things happen to you, but at the same time, that does not negate the fact that it's now your responsibility to heal yourself. It's your responsibility to heal yourself unapologetically and boldly. Like, if you gotta get a samurai sword and start cutting heads off of anybody that's getting in the way of your healing process, I say do it. Like, if you gotta put on some stiletto heels with a spike and literally take those shits off and start nailing them at the forehead of anybody that's trying to get in the way of your healing process, I say do it. You know what I mean. I don't promote violence, but you understand what I mean. Of course, those who seek to exploit you, of course, those who look to you as a come up in any kind of way, whether it is a partner who is selfish, who only cares about the needs that you can give to them. They don't look at you as a whole individual person, and they only look at you as what you can give to them. Or if it's somebody who's actually out here really trying to sex traffic you, really trying to prostitute you, in any form or fashion that may show up, you think that they want you to heal? That's the last thing that they want you to do. They may want you to go see a shrink so they can get deeper into your psyche, so they can figure out how to fuck you over even more. You guys remember in Get Out how he told his girlfriend a very traumatic experience that he had, right? And she told her mother, her mother was the programmer, the proctor or whatever of MK Ultra. And they were basically trying to put this man under a deep hypnosis, using military mind control tactics. So she was "Aw, sweetheart," right? But she was a part of the whole thing. "Aw, sweetheart, cry on my shoulder. I'm so sorry that happened to you." But meanwhile, she was getting all of that information about his traumatizing experiences, so she knew what to use against him to be able to tap into that trauma to be able to use MK Ultra on him. Mind control tactics. The predator doesn't want your healing. Just be clear of that. Why do they need to know about your traumatic experiences in order to use these mind control tactics? Because they need you in order for these types of things to work, you have to be at a certain vibration. So when we're talking about how are you a vibrational match to these experiences, right? Because these things wouldn't happen to you unless you were a vibrational match to these things. In the long term, it's going to be what you choose to be. It's going to unfold the way you need it to, or the way you are aligned for it to unfold. So you could turn up to be the hero in this whole situation. You needed to go through certain things. You may find a lot of these people who are busting up child sex trafficking rings and things like that. They might have been a child that was molested or part of a sex traffic ring or something like that. They might have had to go through these very dark experiences in order to draw on their empathy, in order to be the hero, right? So they turned up and they played their role. They showed up and they played their part as the hero. So that could be your role. That could be the reason why at certain points you were a vibrational match to those things. But the vibrational match thing is your joy and your sense of empowerment and your confidence, your resilience, your endurance, like you at your best version, your strength, you not being weak, you free of alcohol, drugs, free of bad relationships, all those things that like raise your vibration, putting good food and water in your body or whatever, it makes you a lot harder to control. It makes you a lot harder to bring into that dark world. And so when it comes to tapping into your psyche, and the reason why I say, you know, I apologize to anybody who's in the mental health field, but I don't really buy into it. I believe in healers. I believe in spiritual healers. But I don't really buy into shrinks or psychiatrists or psychologists, because a lot of these same shrinks, psychologists, psychiatrists were trained under the same umbrella that some of these government officials were trained under. They have a certain indoctrination that they have to go through. And I don't know if you should trust your mind and your deepest, darkest secrets and all those things to these people. Because some of these people are in cahoots. And so those that seek to control you, they want to know about all of your trauma. They need to know about like your deep, deep psyche, all of your trauma, because they're able to tap into like MK Ultra mind control tactics if they know in depth about what traumatizes you, what triggers you, because they can push those buttons. They can send you into a certain mental state, and then once they're able to do that, they're able to use, you know, to do what they do. And so what does this mean? Stop doing shit that keeps traumatizing you. Period. Like when I tell you, like I'm really like asking God, like get like all these soul ties. Like I have people that are trying to tap into my energy because we had a fling, or we had a 10-year relationship or whatever, and they feel like they can tap into me. And I'm like, yo, I am so far removed from you. I want nothing to do with you, and please believe every word that I say. I don't want you to know where I'm going, who I'm with, who I'm around, what my next move is, who I'm associating, where I'm moving. I don't want you to know shit about me at all. And trust and believe when I say from the depths of my soul and my heart that I don't give a fuck about you or anything that you do. Please believe it. That I don't give a fuck about you or anything that you do. Not even a little bit. I don't even want to know. That's how far removed from you I need to be. That's how much I'm on my knees praying to God for you to get the fuck away from me. I don't want you knowing anything about me. Move on. Heal yourself. I'm not your bed nurse. I'm not your therapist. I'm not the girl who's gonna be taking you take your shit out on. I'm not the one who you've got your issues with women and you're just looking for a woman to just like abuse and take out your like sexist, psychotic, unhealed like mommy issues on. I'm not that girl, and I'm not on a vibrational match for your bullshit and your abuse. Stay the fuck away from me, and I can't emphasize that enough. So I just pray, despite this potty mouth, I'm saying my prayers for me to please, like every single inkling, like every single cell, every single fiber of my body. And ladies, I'm taking personal responsibility because obviously I was a match to these fuckboys at one point in my life. And I know that drinking is a part of our culture, but it's like, ladies sip a lot. You guys sip a lot. Like when we're in these relationships with these guys who don't treat us well, we're sipping a lot. We're smoking a lot. And to me, it's just like where I'm at in life, I've never felt better. I don't drink. I work out every single day. I do my yoga. I pray. I meditate. I don't smoke. I don't pop pills. I don't even have a desire. Like, there's nothing that triggers me right now to be like, damn, I really just want to pour a glass of Riesling or like a Malbec. There's nothing that makes me feel like, man, I just want to light up a blunt and like smoke some weed. I have no triggers for any of that. Nothing triggers me. I don't have any desire or inkling to even gravitate towards that crap. Because I have eradicated myself successfully from fuckboys and put myself on a new vibration that has allowed real love to enter into my life. Somebody who means well for me, somebody who's also healed, who's done the work to heal his women issues, who's done the work to heal his inner child issues, who's done the work. Nobody's perfect here, but who's done the work. A non-drinker, a non-smoker, a non-meat eater, someone who's at peace with the world, someone who's in harmony with the world, a healer, a righteous, good-hearted individual. Because we are now a vibrational match. I'm not looking to mess up his life. He's not looking to mess up my life. We can share each other without anybody looking to get over on another or use anybody or level up on what. None of that. None of that. And so I will say that if you're unwilling to do the work, you will likely stay in the situation that you're in. But if you're willing to endure the hardships, and it's not easy when I say do the work. It's not easy spending nights alone. It's not easy stopping, your weed habit, your drinking, your bad relationships, your gossip, your, all of the things that are keeping you on that low vibration. It's not easy to do. But what I will say is it's so worth it because you will attract people who are now on a frequency of peace. And then when you find it, there's gonna be obstacles that are gonna come in your life. Like when you say enough is enough, right? And you've been in relationships with people who've tried to control you and tried to like control you emotionally, like they wanna mess with your emotions, put you in a bad mood or whatever. Just hateful people, just people who have issues, who are really incapable. It's not necessarily bashing that person either. Like, I did say fuck boys and selfish and all those things, and I stand by that. But when you look at it from another standpoint, these are just people who are at a certain point in their journey that they're not able to love themselves properly. So they're not able to love you. They haven't reached a certain level of emotional maturity or life understanding that relationships aren't about possession. And so, you can look at it just that way. And that will kind of help you, like, divorce yourself of some of that emotions and the anger and all that stuff that's attached to somebody doing you wrong. Just looking at it as simply that person is unhealed in certain categories, and that's just where they're at this time and space. And if they could do better, they would do better, but they don't know how. And all the advice in the world and all the love that you give them in the world, if it's not their time to grow, it's going to go in one ear and out the other. So you could just look at it that way. That's really like more of a peaceful way to look at it. But as far as your growth, your development, who you are becoming, soul ties are some shit. Let me tell you, soul ties are some shit. I got a couple people. I got like 3 people right now that are like pulling on my energy constantly. I'm very well aware of like the things that they're doing to try to pull on my energy, and meanwhile, like when I was with them, they treated me like shit. Like shit. And I was good to them, like real, like massaging them and like cooking for them, like good to them, and treated me like shit. Weren't like good to me, didn't like spoil me like I deserve to be spoiled, like treated me like shit, but like pulling on my energy. And I'm like, okay, to some degree I did this because I had no business even getting in a relationship with these people. So I take full personal responsibility for those things, total responsibility for those things, because if I was resonating on the right frequency, I wouldn't have even let them even in my space. Like right now, what I'm vibing on, they have no chance in the world. No chance. They know that. And they wish they could have a woman like me, but they don't deserve a woman like me. Or at least, I'll put it this way, they're not a vibrational match to a woman like me. Plain and simple. So they do, different things to try to pull on my energy. Now, as far as detachment of soul ties, there are healers, there are spiritualists, there are people that can assist you with that. It's going to take time. Everything takes time. You're going to have to spend some time by yourself. Pray on it. God is all-knowing, all-hearing, everywhere. He hears your prayers. Pray on it. Say, please, God, please remove these fuckboys from my life. And your prayers will be heard, and your prayers will be answered eventually. Pray on it. But you will not be able to get out of these types of situations until you make the first step of really wanting out and really doing everything you can to detach yourself from these type of situations. Anyways, y'all, let me get going. Peace.